Hi, I'm sitting down at a park that we can get Wi-Fi from. It's just a couple blocks from my house, but I thought it's a lot more comfortable in my car to be. This is my parents' car that they had when they used to come here. My dad's too old now. He's 91 and he just can't travel. My mom passed away, but it has like 225,000 miles. It's really old and dirty, but it runs. It's a Toyota Sienna, so we are the type that keep things until they die. Anyway, I've been thinking a lot about the female preacher post that I made. And so I looked up the definition of pastor in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, and it said someone who leads their church, shepherds them, and proclaims the gospel and the truth to their congregation. Everyone used to know that pastors, the title of a pastor was for men only. What happened? When I was growing up, except for the charismatic churches, I know they were already leaning towards female pastors and preachers. But all the churches I grew up in, all the pastors were men, and the women never spoke in the church service. The men did everything up behind the pulpit. But what changed? Why all of a sudden do we have female pastors in the churches? When we were looking for new church, the first thing I looked at was who the elders were, the pastors. I want to make sure there are no female pastors on staff. See, the church that we used to attend, where a female preached a couple weeks ago, she was the children's pastor. And so she's a children's pastor. And when you see that, you see Pastor Ann, whatever, I don't know her name, but you can't distinguish that from the head pastor, the teaching pastor. But pastors are supposed to be men, and it's supposed to be men who lead the churches. So it just naturally flowed to this children's pastor to be preaching one day. She preached to the children during the week. Why not preach during the church service to everyone else? It's just a slippery slope. People ask me, what about children's pastors, and can women teach children? In a lot of churches these days, a lot of parents want their children with them in the church. In our church, most children over three are in the congregation, in the church service with the parents. And it's amazing how well they behave. Our church service is an hour and a half, but those kids do such a great job sitting there. They give them maybe coloring books and snacks, but they do a great job, and they're all kind of gathered in the back of the church. It's really cute. I love watching them. But yes, women can teach children in the churches, in the young children, but I think older elders and the pastors of the church need to oversee all that, make sure that what they're teaching is biblical. Even the if they have a women's Bible study, it should be the men who are checking out the material. Godly men, which is really hard to find actually, because I guess at our old church, the elders and the pastor are getting together to decide what their position is on female pastors, because there's an uproar by some, and I'm sure many applauded the decision. But just the fact that the elders have to get together to decide that, because I've heard that they're all for women pastors, but we need godly elders in the churches who stand on biblical truth. They don't sway to the culture, but they want pastors in their churches to be men. They want the women's ministries to be sound. They should be learning biblical womanhood from older women, or they should be studying material written by John MacArthur or another godly preacher. And there's many of them, many male godly preachers that the women could be learning from. But they shouldn't be learning from Beth Moore and Priscilla Schreier and all of these female preachers who are in complete rebellion to God. And it's funny, they'll use that verse to, justify female preachers in 1 Corinthians 14, 33 and 30. No, it's 1 Corinthians 7, I think, that a woman should be covered if she was going to pray or prophesy in the church. They use that to say that, my hand's getting shaking because it's getting heavy holding this phone. Sorry if I'm shaking a little bit. But to justify women preachers. Yet, have you ever seen a female preacher have her head covered during the church service? No. Not one reason they give why women can preach in the church is biblical. They want to look for the exceptions rather than the commands. So find a church, go to the master's seminary, find a church, and find a church that's biblical. The church that we found has all men, elders, and pastors. There's not a female among them. Yeah, some females teach the Sunday school classes during the first hour. But it's all, the men are heading that and improving what's being taught and overseeing it, because they're the ones that are responsible for what's being taught in the church. So find a biblical church. It's worth going to, attending, and supporting. Anyway, that's my second little rant about female preachers. I just, go look up. I have the 1828 Webster Dictionary app on my phone. I use it a lot, but go look up what it says about defines pastor. And it's not a woman's position. Find a church with male elders and pastors. Bye-bye.